I believed him because he wasn't talking just to be talking. I felt he was also coming straight because there was a big war behind that, a war that they lost, and I think it was a war that destroyed their neighborhood. We've all heard whispers about that neon-lit Vegas night in 1996, the night Shakur's voice was snuffed out, and the entire world wondered who was pulling the strings behind the crossfire. But now, after nearly 30 years of street talk and conspiracy podcasts, Suge Knight, once the West Coast's biggest, baddest music kingpin, has finally broken the code of silence. From behind concrete walls and barbed wire, Suge has all but pointed the finger at Sean Diddy Holmes, confirming what the most cynical in hip-hop have suspected for decades. Diddy allegedly ordered not only Shakur's demise, but Sug's as well. No more innuendo, no more plausible deniability. Suge Knight is on record. And for the first time, the forbidden theory at the heart of hip-hop's bloodiest feud is coming straight from the only living witness to the shooting. He's saying that, did he put a hit out on you and Tupac, and that's the reason why Tupac got Vegas? So yeah, man, how you feel about that?
Well, first thing first, that conversation been out there. You put his truth out there. A lot of other people put their truth out there.
One of his unreleased tracks, Night, later remembered, the adrenaline from the Knight's Tyson fight is still in the air. Only hours earlier, they'd both thrown fists in a casino brawl with Orlando Anderson, a Mafi from the other side, nephew of Dwayne Keefe D. Davis. But the war isn't over. It's about to spill onto the street. As they glide past the intersection of Flamingo and Koval, the lights from the strip turning everything hyper-real. A white Cadillac glides up beside them. There's DeAndre Big Dre Smith in the back, and according to both court filings and old-school informants, he leans out with a Glock and unleashes a hail of 13 rounds. 4 of those bullets rip through Shakur. Suge, grazed by shrapnel, is left bleeding but alive, the taste of copper and adrenaline clinging to the inside of his mouth. The BMW peels away on 2 blown tires. In less than 30 seconds, the future of hip-hop is rewritten in blood and engine smoke. When Keith D said, he told Rat James that, look, it's big money in this. Only thing Puffy want to do is pay $1 million to have both of them. You tell me that. For nearly 3 decades, everyone in the music world tiptoed around that night, afraid to say out loud what everyone in Compton, in Brooklyn, in the record label boardrooms already whispered. Suge Knight's latest confession is more than just an aging mogul settling scores. It is the shattering of a taboo. The moment when the court of public opinion is handed its smoking gun. Knight has made it plain. Everybody knows where the $1 million came from. And suddenly, Diddy's carefully constructed narrative is buckling under the weight of this bombshell. It is just old beef anymore. This is legal ammunition. Diddy, who once danced his way through every after-party and deposition, now sits inside a cell of his own. 4 years already stamped on his sentence for what the judge called disgusting, shameful conduct. But with this new confirmation, the threat isn't just about public disgrace. Prosecutors are circling, and the prospect of a life sentence for orchestrating Shakur's demise isn't just a campfire story anymore. It's the plotline of a very real courtroom drama playing out in broad daylight. You're on your own platform. He said this on your platform, that he put up $1 million to get Pocket.
Yeah, correct. He was around Puffy, and Puffy made a comment when they was around. Yeah. To really grasp how we ended up with a hip-hop Don Corleone allegedly commissioning hits on rivals, we have to rewind to the rise of the East Coast-West Coast rivalry. Before bullets were flying, it was ego, paranoia, and power jostling for dominance. The world remembers the Source Awards of 1995 when Suge Knight, not a man given to subtlety, stood before the whole industry and sent a shot across the bow. Any artists out there that want to be an artist and stay a star and don't have to worry about the executive producer all in the videos, all on the record dancing, come to death row. It was a taunt with teeth, a public slap at Diddy, who made himself the face, the hype man, and the business brain of Bad Boy Records. Even hardened label execs squirmed in their seats. For the first time, the tension between Knight and Combs wasn't just subtext. It was headline news, and everyone knew the line had been crossed. He said it was, according to him, he said it was security that accepted money, participated in it, and it was so-called homies. The war only escalated. Shakur, newly signed to death row and freshly out of prison, unleashed Hit 'Em Up in June 1996. This was no mere diss track. It was a declaration of open warfare. Shakur didn't just insult Biggie and Bad Boy Records. He called out Diddy by name, boasting about affairs with rivals' wives and vowing in raw terms to make their lives miserable. It was brash, brutal, and personal. Prosecutors now say this wasn't just lyrical jousting, it was real-world motive. In court filings, Kay himself claimed Diddy was terrified of Suge Knight and desperate enough to put out $1 million bounty to erase both Suge and Shakur. It wasn't just about chart positions or magazine covers. The tension had metastasized into something darker, a world where music industry beef turned into literal contracts. Industry veterans insist the paranoia inside Bad Boy Records was so thick you could cut it with a platinum record. Diddy, always the businessman first, knew the West Coast wasn't playing by the rules of showbiz. Behind closed doors, old associates claimed Diddy paced his office at night talking about how Suge was a threat not just to his artists, but to his empire. Multiple sources, including former law enforcement and gang insiders, point to clandestine meetings like the infamous Delhi Summit on Sunset Boulevard, where Combs and Keith D allegedly discussed handling the problem. The sum, $1 million, the same figure that surfaces again and again in police interviews, court transcripts, and Keith's own memoir. He was real scared of the guy, Keith told detectives. It helped in front of everybody. Yeah, he was scared. Yes, I agree. I do agree that he was probably terrified for his life. So, if that is the case, it's also quite feasible that he put up money to get popped. You know what I mean? By the time September 7 arrived, the rivalry had become a ticking bomb. The night of the Mike Tyson fight at the MGM Grand, Shakur and Suge, trailed by a sea of bloods, spotted Orlando Anderson near the elevators. For anyone following the gangland chessboard, this was no random collision. Anderson was the nephew of Keith D, the same man Diddy allegedly paid for the hit. What happened next was caught on a grainy casino camera. Shakur, Suge, and Trayvon Lane delivered a rapid-fire beatdown to Anderson. A shoulder dislocated, faces bloodied, and with the benefit of hindsight, the fuse was lit. Multiple investigators have since called this the green light moment. No more warnings, no more threats. Retaliation was not just possible, it was inevitable. And good thing he didn't, because even though we was friends, but if a mother pays you, I got a bullet in my skull. And one of the best friends I had ever had in life is Pot. Even as the death row convoy left the MGM and rolled toward Flamingo and Koval, the sense of doom was almost cinematic. We know now that the Cadillac wasn't just following, it was hunting. According to police interviews in Kef's own book, he handed the Glock to the back seat and the fireworks started. If Shakur hadn't leaned out the window to flirt with fans, would the shooters have missed him? If they would have drove on my side, I would have popped them, Keith told the LA detectives. His confession matter-of-fact and chilling. For a city famous for its cameras and cops, Las Vegas failed to deliver even a single conviction. Nearly 30 years have gone by, and still the intersection is remembered not for bright lights and jackpots, but as the scene where justice went on a decades-long vacation. From his prison cell, Suge Knight still relives those moments, his voice cracking with both anger and loss. Part of me faded when he passed, he said. Yet he's finally spelling out what everyone's been too scared to admit. The $1 million, the setup, the cover-up, it was all there just waiting for someone to break the Omera. Everybody knows where the $1 million came from. The message is clear. And with Diddy's past finally colliding head-on with his present downfall, the question now is whether this decades-old secret will finally bring the last man standing to face the consequences,
or if the music industry's dirtiest war is about to claim yet another chapter. I lost my freedom with Tupac D. I lost business. I bought, lost he.